Welcome to another episode of Ikezy Talks Sports, your number one page for the best football-related content, including but not limited to technical analysis, pre-match reviews, post-match reviews, premium banter, and many more. Today, I will be doing a review of the just concluded Champions League matches. As we all know, there was a lot of exciting events that happened. There was a lot of surprises in this just concluded Champions League. I think it was the fifth round, no? Yeah, the fifth round. An exciting set of fixtures and a few surprises as well. Manchester City lost, as you all know. Liverpool lost. Newcastle lost. Tottenham lost. And I'm talking about the English teams for now. I think the only two English teams that did not lose, that represented the Premier League well, are Chelsea and Arsenal, which is ironic because Chelsea and Arsenal face each other this weekend. That is on Sunday. It's just one of those ownership situations. Trust me, it's not a big deal. Chelsea knows who their landlord and their owners are. So let's just keep it that way for now. And also, as we all know, based off of the round of fixtures yesterday, Arsenal are currently seated at the top of the Champions League group stage table with 15 points. That is, we have won 5 out of our 5 games. Now, Arsenal are the first in the Champions League. They're also the first in the Premier League. See, these conversations about being the best team in the world right now, I think it is clear for everyone to see. Right? Because if you're at the top of the Premier League and at the top of the Champions League, come on. I mean, but then again, it's only November, right? Don't let me get ahead of myself. I can get too excited at times, but yeah, it's only November, so nothing is won as of yet. But early indications show that it's looking like this is going to be, or this might be our year, right? So, but then let's delve into some of these fixtures. I'll be focusing majorly on the Premier League teams because that's where my team comes from. As we all know, who do I start with? Should I start with Liverpool or Man City? I've always been wanting to talk about Man City. I feel like Man City, they've been going under the radar, especially on this particular channel, on this particular podcast, on this particular page. They've been moving under the radar of recent. And for me, I knew that their recent form was a fugazi. It was a fugazi. It was fake. And the reason I say this is because, and if I remember correctly, before their Newcastle game last weekend, I caught Pep saying in one of the posts or in his pre-match interview where he said that it feels like they've gotten to a point where the team is starting to take shape. The guys are starting to understand each other and then they're in good form. And so for that reason, it will be difficult, for them to get beaten. Ever since he made that statement, they've lost 2 games in a row. One at St. Jesus Park and the other one at home. But yeah, they've lost 2 games in a row. Now, number one, you only beat Liverpool. You beat Liverpool 3-0 before the international break, no? But everyone has beaten Liverpool this season. Everyone. You cannot say because you beat Liverpool then that means that you are in form. And that's even aside the fact. The real facts or the real thing that I'm going to say is that honestly, their squad is not all that. If you were to ask me, I've been suspicious for a very long time. Bar the likes of Haaland and maybe Donnarumma. And Doku has been showing, glimpse of being elite this season. But trust me, aside those 3 players that I've mentioned, there is nothing spectacular about their squad. And I also mean to, what's the word now? To put players on the spot. And I'm talking about players like Ruben Diaz, Josko, Vadio. Those are players that you would expect that they would turn up. I'm talking about the likes of John Stones, the likes of Nathan Ake. See, this is my take. Manchester City, when they had the likes of De Bruyne, Aguero, they added Haaland, they had the likes of Gundogan, the likes of a fit and firing Rodri. Those were their world class players. Now, the system that they play, in my opinion, elevates the team beyond what it looks like. A lot of all these players are average at best. Trust me, I've always looked at Ruben Diaz suspiciously. I've always looked at the likes of guy, because if you think about, okay, see, for example, they bought Grealish for 100 million. Grealish is average at best. The likes of Phil Foden, maybe a little bit above average. But I'm talking about Ruben Diaz, Nathan Ake, John Stones. Now, the mistake that Pep made was over the course of the summer, he bought in a lot of average players. I'm talking about Nuri, Tijani Ren. These guys are average at best. Believe me. And so what you're experiencing now, what you're seeing now is just a mediocre team that has lost its fear factor. If Haaland is not performing, Man City are going to have a bad day. That is what it is right now. If Haaland doesn't perform, Haaland has a bad day, or Doku doesn't have a good game, Man City don't score. So you can imagine what would happen if Haaland was to get injured, right? The system is what has been working. Now, look at Nathan Ake. Come on. But anyways, like I said, it's becoming painfully obvious right now. They've lost 2 games, and those 2 games have exposed them badly. Leverkusen didn't have to do much. They were not spectacular. But yeah, they came, scored 2 goals, they turned up, and it was an easy win for them. Like I said, I'm not surprised about their form of late, and I think that if Pep doesn't address the issue, I think it's too late to address, because now you are burdened with all these players that, in my opinion, that are average. Like Savinho is average. Czeki, I think, is in that Foden, level, right? Across their midfield, Nico Gonzalez is average. There's nothing you can say. All those Nuri is average. Kusanov, what's this guy playing their right back? The Portuguese guy is these are players that, come on, they are not world beaters, right? So, anyways, I'm not surprised. So, like I said, it was a relatively easy win for Leverkusen. It puts Man City in a very, difficult position for the Champions League table. But hopefully, they can turn things around and get better results moving forward. Now, moving to Liverpool. Liverpool lost yet again at Anfield. I said it last week. Anfield means nothing. Right now, Anfield means nothing. If a team like PSV can smell blood and say, you know what, everyone is beating them at Liverpool, let us also go and beat them at Liverpool. And they came 4-1. Comfortable victory. See, aside from criticizing the manager, I think the manager deserves a very intense level of criticism. But also, you have to criticize the senior players. And I'm talking about the likes of Van Dijk, Salah, Robertson, and the likes. These are players that last season they turned up, they played great football, demanded new contracts. They were given these new contracts, and now look at the penalty Van Dijk conceded. That was a blatant handball. At that level, you shouldn't, even if you feel like you were fouled, you shouldn't raise your hand to catch the ball. This is not NBA. I thought I was watching the NBA for a minute. So these are players. Salah is out of form. Van Dijk is, I don't know. I don't recognize this Van Dijk. And see, as a rival fan, I'm happy. But it gets to a point where, as a rival fan, you start to feel bothered. Like, what exactly is happening in this club? And I've had several arguments with several Liverpool fans, and we don't seem to agree on certain things. And my goal is to bring one of those Liverpool fans to this channel, to this page, to this podcast, to this segment, and then we would discuss what exactly the issue is. Because for me, I think that the issue that Liverpool is currently facing, yes, and looks like it's out of its depth, but the problem did not start today. It didn't start last week. It didn't start last month. In my opinion, it started in August or in July. They did not get their priorities right. And I was telling him, I said, what you're experiencing right now is a ripple effect of bad decisions that were made in August. Now, let me explain myself. In my opinion, their squad seems like it's unbalanced, right? They needed to have signed more defensive cover and a proper replacement for Luis Diaz. They did not do that. What they prioritized was Isak. Isak was what we heard all summer. After Florian Wirtz, they prioritized Isak. Now, this Isak that you prioritize now is nowhere to be found. He hasn't been fit. In the games that he has played in, he has not turned up. He's an injury-prone player. Nothing. It was unfortunate for Ikezy, what's his name? I'll call him Ikezy. He got injured. They brought on Isak. He couldn't deliver nothing. Right? This is a player that you spent £150 million or $150 million for. Florian Wirtz, you spent $120 million. He's injured. Right? So you spent almost 300 million on two players that you can't even call them. They cannot help the team. Meanwhile, when they went for Ikezy, instead of going for Isak, I get it. You don't want to lose out on a serious talent like Isaac, but you have to look at your opportunity cost, right? You needed cover in your defensive midfield or your midfield. You needed cover at your defense. You needed cover on the wings. You didn't do any of that. You signed average fullbacks. You signed two strikers and Florent who cannot offer anything defensively and is light on the ball. You are playing the Premier League. So what I think happened is that those bad decisions made their performance shaky. They were winning games, but they were shaky, and I kept saying it. Like all it took was for one injury to Alisson, another injury to their backup 18-year-old centre back, Konate being out of form, and everything went to shred. Right? So it's a ripple effect because when you start to lose games, you lose confidence. The players they lose confidence in themselves, they lose confidence in the tactics, they lose confidence in the manager. If you had a more robust team that could take the pressure, a more robust team that could survive the injury crisis that we all knew was going to happen, they won't be in this situation right now. Now, a lot may argue that, that's just part of the problem. That's not the entire problem. But I'm telling you for a fact that if they had done their business properly in the summer, even if they were to be out of form and the slot were to be exposed, it wouldn't be as bad as it currently is. Now, I stand to be corrected. And that's why I said I'm going to bring a Liverpool fan on and we can tackle these issues to see what really, is going on and what really went wrong. But anyways, they've lost back-to-back at home at Anfield. Anfield means nothing. And Liverpool tears. I am so excited to drink. I'm drinking. See. Liverpool tears. I'm drinking it for breakfast. I love it. Where they are in the league table is not also looking good. I think they're about 3 more games to play. Hopefully they can get 3 wins. I don't see them getting 3 wins. The Arne Slot's position is under threat, severely being scrutinized. If he doesn't win his next 2-3 games, I think he's going to get sacked, and I wouldn't be surprised. But like I said, it doesn't matter who the next manager is. If you don't get your priorities right as regards to the transfer window, you have a difficult season. And that was what happened to Arsenal last season. We did not get our transfer strategy right. We only signed Calafiori and Merino and Sterling. And we had an injury and past season, and look where we ended. Anyways, moving on to Tottenham. Come on, there's nothing to say. I guess we can all say their loss was expected. It's Tottenham. I beat them easily 4-1 over the weekend. Easy hat trick, very easy game. I don't know what made them feel like they would go to PSG and beat them. I think PSG were even surprised. Like, so you guys have this in you. When Tottenham scored the first goal and PSG equalized, and this you have that dog in you. No problem. Vitia just took it upon himself and said, you know what, let me put this game to bed. Scored a brilliant hat-trick. That guy is making a serious case for the Ballon d'Or. Honestly, I'm an Arsenal fan, and I've been seeing a lot of things on social media saying, Declan Rice is the best midfielder in the world. And even though I believe so, I think he's one of the best. I don't think he's the best. When we have the likes of Vitinha, come on, look at what that boy is performing, right? Let's remove the fact that Arsenal are top of the Champions League. There's a lot of things that are contributing to that. But that Vitinha boy, when you talk about a player that grabs the match by the scruff of the neck, that is Vitinha. Declan Rice also does that, but I think Vitinha does that a level above Declan Rice. So this is me admitting. But this conversation between Vitinha and Declan Rice, Caicedo can never be there. He will never be in this conversation. Never. FC. There is nothing you want to say. Caicedo cannot be in the conversation because he's nowhere near the levels of those two. I watched that Chelsea game and I'm getting to Chelsea. If not for the fact that Barca, they were just, being very, very useless that day. That game, Caicedo made a lot of mistakes that a supposed world-class player should not be making, but I'll get to them. So, as we all know, PSG came back twice to beat Tottenham 5-3. It was a brilliant game. I didn't watch the game because obviously it's Tottenham. I can't spend 1 minute watching a Tottenham game, but I went to the highlights, and those were brilliant goals by Vitinha. I think the last one was a penalty. Kudos to Tottenham, at least they tried. I don't see how they might make it, to the playoffs of the Champions League, but I don't see them going very far. They are just a trash and useless team. That is just all I'm going to say. Chelsea, the supposed or the self-acclaimed pride of London. You guys are not the pride of anything. You are not. I was disappointed in Barcelona. Very disappointed. I would admit, Cucurella, brilliant player. If I had Cucurella in my team, that's Cucurella, Calafiori. Having those two as options is literally having the best left-back pairing in the world. Cucurella is immense. But that's about that. Honestly, Barca were just terrible on the day. Araujo, See, I've never seen a Barcelona defender as erratic as that guy. And he's supposed to be the captain, no? I've never seen a player as erratic as that guy. Ever. And I just don't get it. Like, why can't you just be calm? You are playing away from home. You can't just be diving into challenges like that. And you're supposed to be leading from the back. Come on, man. You just literally gave Chelsea the game. You dashed them the game. And that Ferran Torres boy, if I catch you, nonsense. How can you miss that kind of chance? If he had scored that goal, the game would have taken a different turn. We know Chelsea now, they will capitulate. Isn't that Chelsea? But Barca just afforded them that opportunity. Lamine Yamal had a terrible game, and that's kudos to Cucurella. I know that Saka is going to have it tough on Sunday, but that does not mean that they're not going to get beat. Because I have other players across the pitch that will do what? Do the damage. So don't be thinking, oh, because Cucurella pocketed Lamine Yamal, then you can come and do the same thing against my team. You can't. It's not possible. You have more than one headache. I'm just telling you. Anyways, as we all know, it's a derby. It's a London derby. Chelsea, your landlord is coming to town. Lay the bed, shave, do everything you need to do. Make everywhere clean for Arsenal. Make everywhere tidy. I want to come and see everywhere clean, right? We don't want to waste time. Just want to come, give you guys 2-3 goals and go. And I don't want to see you people play one nonsense deep block or low block. I don't want to see none of that. Don't play low block against you. Say you want to attack. I saw a tweet. It said they will deploy is it Pedro on the left or on the right, and they will deploy Estevao so that they will pin our fullback. Yes, I want you to come and pin my fullback. Come and attack. Because if you come and you play low block, that's when the game will be difficult for me. But if you come to attack, let's do aura for aura and see who has the best defense and who has the best attack and who can score more goals. Let's play it out there. You are at home, don't go and sit back. I've said that one. But honestly, that Estevao boy, I've always said it, is the only one that I think can really cause us problems. Is a real talent. Let's admit that. Is a real talent. But I feel like Calaferi and Incapai on that left side, forget it. Estevao, you won't score anything. You might maybe scruffle, maybe one assist. And we're allowed that, but to score, forget it. Yeah, but we are winning that game. Now, my prediction will not be that Chelsea will not score. They are at home. They are a good team. They are second for a reason. I'll give it to them. I'll chip in one goal. And this is only because Gabriel is not available. If Gabriel was available, I'm not giving you any goal. I am not giving you any goal. But because Gabriel is absent, I'll give you one goal. But the game will end like 3-1 or 2-1. If it's a close game. But I'm winning that game. But yeah, it was an impressive victory for Chelsea. Hopefully, it gives them the confidence to try to play Arsenal or beat Arsenal. But we'll see about that. As for the other La Liga teams, Villarreal lost. Madrid, it was a close game. Honestly, I don't know what is wrong with Madrid, but whatever it is, I think they are in a phase where they're still developing, right? Arteta's tactics they're not hitting home yet. And I think for him, for this first season, he's doing a good job. Yes, they've lost a few games where they shouldn't have lost, but it's coming together. I think what he's trying to build is a team that is self-reliant on the system and not on the individualism of the players. They have a potent goal scorer in Mbappe, and that helps a lot. But trust me, I don't see all the tantrums that I've been seeing online about Vini and all of that. Trust me, see, if Vini were to leave today, that system will still survive. That's the beauty of system. If your system is good, it elevates the players. Your team is only as good as the system that it deploys. Do you understand? So, that's just what I think. So, I think Madrid stars should be calm. Alonso is a good coach. He has the pedigree. He did it at Leverkusen. Went an entire season unbeaten, playing a system that worked, right? So if we just relax. I mean, it was a close game, but I always felt that Madrid were going to win. I mean, it's Olympiacos, so there's really nothing. PSG won, obviously. They won to that useless team called Tottenham. It is what it is. I'll talk about the Arsenal-Bayern game, which is my main focus, right? You see all those ones that we said. The Arsenal-Bayern game. Now, you see, the funny thing about this game is, coming into the game, right? Bayern were on crazy form. They had not lost a game all season. I think they had drawn only one game, no? Arsenal, at least, we lost against Liverpool, and we've drawn two against Man City and against Sunderland. But that speaks volumes to how tough the Premier League is. The Premier League is tough. So, the game, both teams had perfect group stage records in the Champions League. We had played 4 and won 4 before the game. Bayern, they boasted a very potent attack. I think before the game, they were boasting their front three. Unfortunately, Luis Diaz didn't play the game, but their front three has scored a total of, I think, 45 goals, right? And but then Arsenal were boasted the best defensive record in the Champions League. We had not conceded in a single goal up to that game. So it was always going to be a game of attack versus defense, right? What was the narrative of the match? We showed them we are not a fluke team by being called the best team in the world right now. We gave it to them. We really gave it to them. It was a game of two halves, right? And Arsenal, we turn up and we spoil anyone's mood. That's who we are right now. It was a game of two halves. In the first half, I think Bayern were very, very brilliant in how they deployed their game plan. I think that we used the first half to study how they came to play, right? And I think it helped a lot that we were at home because they pressed, they took ownership of the ball. They were very much more proactive in how they went about things. But our defense were just too solid for them. We were just too solid. And then the goal we scored, it was a set piece, trademark set piece goal. Very happy for that goal. The shortest man on the pitch scored the goal, Timber. I know people have been saying, "Oh no, Gabriel, so your set piece will dry up." People saw Merino. You don't know anything. We have set piece demons, people that can attack the set piece. Nkapie can attack a set piece. Merino can attack a set piece. We have some players that are coming back. The likes of Kai Havertz, they can attack a set piece. Timber can score a set piece. In case you did not know, Calafiori is equally good in the air. So these are the things. So when we scored the set piece goal, I was like, yes, this was the perfect way to start the game. I wasn't surprised that Bayern drew one level. And honestly, I can understand the rotation, right? Miles Lewis-Kelly hasn't really been having game time of late. But I think it's okay that he started the game. And it was obvious he was having a difficult time against Gnabry and, Olise, because they were alternating a lot. So Arteta removed them at the best time. Giving Calafiori the needed rest for the Chelsea game. And immediately Calafiori entered the game, the difference was clear. Stopped an attack and then moved forward and delivered an assist for Madueke to score. The second half were just too much to handle for Bayern. Right, they had the first half. Like I said, it was a game of two halves. But the second half, pressing was better. We won more duels. We controlled possession better. Right, when there was an urgency in how we played, and Bayern really couldn't breathe. After the restart, honestly, and Arteta's substitution changed everything. And this is why having a squad depth as rich as Arsenal has can never be understated. Company said it because I looked at Bayern Munich's bench and I'm like, where are these guys? The drop off in quality was so obvious. But for Arsenal, there was honestly no drop off in quality. We've gotten to a point where we're able to take off the likes of Saka, and bring in a Madueke, and the Madueke will now win. And mind you, when we took off Saka, the game was still at the stalemate. It was still 1-1. And Arteta took off Saka, and we still went ahead to win that game. Martinelli came in and scored. Right, these are our substitutes. We are subbing in Calafiori. The drop off, there was not a single drop off in how we played. Eze came out for Odegaard. This is what we are talking about, right? You can't have this kind of squad depth and expect that you won't do great things this season. I think this is our defining season, honestly. And it gives me a lot of joy that some of our players are even yet to come back. We don't have a Gyökeres yet. We don't have a Jesus. We don't have Havertz. These are players that will come in and will also elevate the squad, what we currently have. So scary times ahead for you people. You people don't know anything. Anyways, for me personally, I think Arsenal will go all the way. Yes, we might. So it would be outrageous to say we'll win the Champions League and the Premier League, but I think we'll go all the way. We'll at least get to the semi-final with the way we are playing. I don't think this squad is scared of anybody, and I don't see any other club in Europe that matches us in terms of how we play. Not Madrid, not Bayern. We just beat Bayern. Right, I think the only thing will maybe be PSG, and if I face PSG, this is honestly, it's going to be about revenge. And I don't think I don't think they are as solid as they were last season. I think fatigue and the injuries to a couple of their key players are defining their season so far. So, as you can see, I think we can go all the way. For the Premier League, I think we can go all the way. Yes, it's too early. We're still in November, December, and things can change quickly. But I think if we can arrive in March, April, having the same point gap that we have, or even better, if we are able to extend that point gap, I think it's our title. But like I said, let me just remain humble. We are still in December. Anything can happen. What is important is the next game, and this next game against Chelsea, we have to win it. We have to win the next game against Chelsea. It is imperative that we do, and I think we will do. Yes, I've been boasting, I've been braggadoo about it, but trust me, it's going to be a tough game. Because Chelsea are also on form. I think in the last 5 games, both teams have won 4 and drawn 1. including the Champions League. So it tells you that there is something there. It tells you there's something there. Although I am not convinced. I am not convinced with their defense. I am not convinced with their defense. Fofana, Chaluba, Badashi. Come on, you can't. It's not. It's not. There's nothing really. I think what is owning that team is their defensive contribution, which is coming from the likes of their defensive cover, which is coming from the likes of Caicedo. If you're able to win the ball early before it gets to the defense, it's better. But every time the ball has gotten to the defense, the way they've been embarrassed, come on, we all know now, it's there. So it's not a case of will they be able to sustain it for the length of the season, right? So but then again, like I said, it's a game to be excited about for both Arsenal and Chelsea fans. And like I said last week, it's a game that will decide and put to bed this Caicedo Declan debate. Declan said something. Declan, you're not helping my argument here. In the post-match interview with CBS Sports, he was saying that he voted Caicedo in his PFA Team of the Year. Nobody asked you, why are you saying that kind of thing? Yes, players respect each other. And like you said you are not playing the same position. Nobody asked you, why are you saying it? Because Chelsea fans, they've been saying that Caicedo is better. In terms of numbers, there is no way Caicedo will topple Declan's numbers. Ever. That is numbers. In terms of defensive action, because of the difference in position that they play, Caicedo is expected to have more numbers than Declan Rice. However, the gap is not a lot because Declan Rice contributes defensively in that 6/8 position as much as Caicedo does. Caicedo going forward, aside the shooting from outside the box once in a while that he pops, there is nothing he does offering for. There's nothing. Declan Rice offers much more. He's a more robust player. He can do well with set pieces. He can, track back. He has running power. He has strength. He has good passing range. And he's good with his head. He doesn't concede silly penalties like Brother Moses. So what are we talking about? Anyways, Declan Rice, I like you because you're humble. You said you respect him. Me, I don't respect Caicedo. I don't respect Chelsea fans. They can go to F1 like it. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting game this weekend. So that's the end of the review today. The Champions League games that was played. Looking forward to the next round of games. I think it's going to be in the next 2 weeks. Now we're getting to a period where the fixtures are coming in thick and fast. Rotation of the squads is key. If you don't have squad depth, you don't finish. I'm telling you, if you do this period, you have to rotate your squad. And I think that's one of the things that will help Chelsea because it's a culture that Maresca has adopted early on. He's been rotating his squad, so players are being kept fresh. So I think that will help them in the long run. There will be certain games where the quality will drop, but if they're able to scale through and win those games, they will be fine. Arsenal, we also have a very good strength in depth. If you rotate our squad, the difference in quality, there is really no difference. You can't really tell the difference. So that will also help us. But things like Man City, you can't afford to rotate because Pep tried to rotate against Leverkusen and they lost. Liverpool can't even rotate. Is it Ngoma that you want to bring on, or is it Kesa that you want to bring on, or Endo? They don't have squad depth. They would. So this period now, you're about to see a lot more injuries to some of their senior players. The likes of Isak that can't stay fit. Ikezy has gotten injured. Isak cannot play 5 games at a stretch. So at some point, Gakpo is going to have to play there. Who will play on the left? Curtis Jones. It's not going to be easy for Liverpool, but hopefully they can. If they can just win two of their next 3, I think, and it's not to keep his job. But if not, he's out of the window. Anyways, so that's the end of this segment. I want to know what your predictions would be, for the games coming up in the weekend, or particularly for the Chelsea Arsenal game. I would like to know what your predictions would be. Drop your predictions in the comments section. And let's see who you think will be crowned the pride or the kings of London.